10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Hello, my friends in Sasquatch Land. It is I on Tuesday night without Stevie Strings. I hope everything is all right. Stevie is not with us at the moment, so I thought I would hop on here and say hi to everybody in the chat. Hey, Shana Crystal. Hey, Boots on the Ground. Hey, Tim T. Hey, Mr. Santariga. Oh, Mr. Santariga's in the house. Hey, that's for you, Big Al. So I just talked to Stevie about an hour ago. We went over the whole show and really excited to do this. And Stevie is not here. I've called him. I've left a message, so I hope everything's okay, Stevie. I'm not prepared for this. I guess we could do a Q&A for a little while if you guys want. I hope everybody got to see my new video I just put out last night. We caught some pretty good vocals, and we had some action on the RF meter, and it was pretty it was a pretty good video. So yeah, Al, I love Stevie too, and he was even going to play some guitar for us tonight, and I hope he's all right. That's all. I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. I might just have to cancel tonight and do it. Hello, Mr. Neil Spillett from the UK. How are you? Yeah, we might have to cancel the show for tonight because I have no guest and I'm not prepared for having no guest. We are all loaded up with pictures and everything. So I'm going to try calling him one more time, and we'll see if he answers. So how's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad that you guys all showed up for the show. Yep, nothing. Yeah, but I guess I could talk a little. I mean, everybody's seen the video. We're finding prints here in Connecticut at the moment. I believe that they're coming through, but they're not staying here. Usually, the month of September and October, they're here all the time. And right now, there's so much water, so much rain that we've had record rains here in Connecticut, and there's no nuts. There's nothing to gather. The mushrooms are just finally starting to come out, believe it or not, with all the saturated soil. And none of the nut-bearing trees are dropping anything yet. The acorns just started, and they're green. So they're not here yet, totally full time, but they're coming through. And the next video, I saved it for Larry's because I didn't want to make the video too long. We found 3 prints. We tried to cast one. It was in the mud. It's just I like the ground is so saturated that the hydrocal wouldn't set. It just kept on drawing moisture. It just wouldn't set. So that was a failure. But then we found from the gifting tree that we set up, we found 2 prints that are in the mud with a 39-inch stride. So we're pretty excited about that, and that's we think that's the mama. She actually went from a 10.5 to almost a 13 in 2 years. We believe that's mama coming through. We all know dad is 15 plus, and last time we seen Junior was 8.5, but we think that he probably about a 10 by now. So that's what we got. We're finding prints at Larry's. We're finding prints up the road, which are the same creek joins each property. So we're excited about that. We actually have a guest coming down on Saturday to go out with Shayna and Mike and myself. We will be heading back to Rock Throw where we got the mouth pops and the RF activity. And we are going to head into an area that we have never been to before. Mr. No Such Thing podcast is coming down from Mass to go out with us, and hopefully we have a good day. We're going to go seriously off trail to an area that I've always wanted to go to, and we've never made it there. And we're going to hit that on Saturday. So does anybody got any questions about what's going on here? I'll take some questions. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll have to reschedule, Stevie. It was going to be a great show. I was pumped. I mean, we talked for like an hour before, and we have so much stuff going on in common that it would have been a really, really good show. So I hope he's all right. That's all I'm praying for. I hope everything's all right at his home. I don't see why it shouldn't be, but I hope everything's all right. Yes, as y'all seen that we did have the RF action. I mean, we walked down that trail, and that part of the trail is known for the mouth pops and the vocals. So we got the mouth pops. We got a couple knocks. Shayna actually stopped in her tracks at one of them to look in the woods because she heard them and tried to whisper to me, telling me that she heard something, but she's so soft spoken I couldn't even hear it. But and then they were coming in. We could hear the footsteps. They started coming in, and all of a sudden that RF meter took. Oh, whoa! Hey, hold on a second. I'll be right back. Stevie's right here. Yo, hello, hello. No, 8 o'clock, man. No, 8 p.m. Everybody's here. Yeah, just come to the studio. We'll start all over. That's all right. No problem. Bye. All right. That was Stevie. We're going to start all over, folks. I will be back shortly.
Ten, nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
Hello, my friends in Sasquatch Land. It is another Tuesday night here at Discover Sasquatch Studios. And do we have another special guest for you tonight? Mr. Stevie Strings from Florida. Stevie's involved everything cryptid. He's involved in the film industry. He's a sick guitar player. And he's a good friend. He's actually one of the first people that I had met when I first started. Actually, one of the first 5 people. So he is a good friend, and I'm glad he is all right. We were a little worried about him here at the studio because we got a little off track there when I wasn't prepared to talk to you all, and I'm glad that he's here. So for take 2, without further ado, here he is, Mr. Stevie Strings.
Hello there. Houston, can you hear me?
Okay. Ground control to Major Tom.
All righty. Hello.
Hello,
I am so very sorry about that, but I'm from Florida, land of the dumb, the older, and their parents.
It's all good. It's all
What's
good.
going on, my man, Chris? Haven't seen you in a long time since we did some shows with Shaky. And,
Shaky's front porch. What is the front porch, right?
Front porch, porch talk.
Porch talk. That's right. Yeah, that was great.
And then he had another one, I think, when there was multiple groups were working together to.
Yeah, he did the
roundtable
stuff. He started the roundtable sessions. Yeah, with like Ryan Reading and a bunch of people like that.
Good stuff. Good show.
Well, welcome to Discover Sasquatch. I am very happy to have you here, and I'm very happy that you're well. We were worried that something might have happened. So
I my mistake. Eastern Standard, Mountain Time. I am all over the place, and I thought we were on the same coast, and we were going on at 9.
No.
So, anyways, well, we're here now.
Yeah, well, I'm old. I can't stay up past 9:30, so I have to start early.
I hear you, brother.
Okay, so why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and your history? I mean, you have a pretty impressive resume, and I'm sure everybody would love to hear about it.
Oh, golly. Thank you. You're making me blush. Well, let's see. I am owner of Best Dude Films, which has multiple films on cryptids and a full feature film that is out now with Les Stroud, the Survivor Man. And we had just finished a documentary that's been out called The Skunk Ape Lives, which is based on accounts since the wild man of Ocheesy, and it ends up to the present day of sighting of the Stacy Brown Sr. thermal. Great documentary if anybody wants to see that. I also worked for Finding Bigfoot at a brief stint with the Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. Got to do production assistant all the way up to helping field coordinations. And also cool. I'm a musician, actor, and I do scary films. I get the stereotypical acting things, biker, skinhead, prisoners, scary cannibal clowns, because people see my Facebook painting of my face, and that's from a film for those who didn't know that. So, and I also am a researcher. I worked first researching with the Sasquatch hunters, started there. I was actually a solo person since I was just a little kid when I was really getting into it. And I ended up with the Florida Skunk Ape projects. But now I am doing a Creature Man research team, which is much on a smaller scale. I find that a lot easier to work with than what we were at before. Multiple expeditions with 20, 25 people and splitting teams. It got pretty crazy there, but I like doing the smaller investigations now. I'm like a 3-man crew is a perfect size for me.
Right.
I mean, if you have more, that's okay too, because there's always a base camp and stuff like that. It seems like whenever we have things going on, it's the base camp that always has the craziest of things. Maybe it's curiosity from whatever's out there in the dark looking in at the lighted area.
Right.
But as for a 3-man, I like that the most. I like having a parabolic type situation in front. Of course, so you don't pick anybody up from the back. I don't know if I know people that use parabolics. It takes a while to get used to those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listening to an armadillo sounds like Godzilla
Right,
to a
right.
parabolic. So, and to pick up bipedal versus quadrupedic type movement. And so once you get that, then I have a thermal person that's got um, thermal imaging to do, and then you have your night vision person. Because
Right.
I don't see a whole lot of night vision stuff out there, films, evidence.
Well,
So with that three, how can you deny the evidence if you can
right,
get all three in a sanctioned, in a
right.
row?
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that do the night stuff, but that's their time, as we all know that they're out at night. And
I believe that too. I really do believe that the Sasquatch is a nocturnal creature myself. I would like to go on feeding times of deers and stuff, so I'm always looking at that. But my approach is looking at a lot of you younger guys. I'm getting older, and I'll be 65, and but I like watching you younger guys and like these researchers, and hopefully we all can work together and come up with a Bigfoot.
right.
I
That's the
think
way to do it.
exactly. At least some really good evidence. I mean, if you had that three pieces of evidence, like I was talking about, sound, thermal, and a night vision, well, how could you not deny
Right.
that?
And it can be done. It can be done. You
It
just got
could.
to have the right people. You got to
Right,
be
and
the
then
right people.
you have three people instead of 20 people out in the woods. With these expeditions that are going on, people are
Right.
offering expeditions, BFRO and stuff like that. But I like and I also do solo stuff. I will go out there by myself a lot. I like that too. But the only haphazard is that is if you get injured.
Right,
Say
right.
you roll an ankle on your way out there. Good luck on getting back to where your vehicle or whatever
So
is.
what got you interested in all the craziness, all the cryptids and the horror films, and what sparked you as a little kid?
Basically, I am my father's son. He is quite the was quite the woodsman, and he was a musician and a rogue traveler of the country. But when he was a hunter and a woods person, he once told me stories. I guess I was probably about, I don't know, 10-ish in that age. But he would tell me these stories of the skunk ape. And this was, 60s, early 60s. And he told me about a story once when he was in Ocala. Now, he did not really believe in the skunk ape or the Bigfoot thing, but he had once told me this story about when he was in Ocala back in the days in the 60s, and he was hunting there. And up on a ridge, he had seen a creature that was hunched over, which he thought was a bear. And of course, hunters don't shoot anything till they can totally identify it. And then this thing stood up. And when it stood up, it looked over at him and he noticed it. He said it was not a bear. He wasn't going to say what it was. He said it kind of more looked like a gorilla type thing. And then it proceeded to walk on the other side of the ridge. So he didn't think nothing of this other than, wow, I'm glad I didn't shoot it because God knows, what I would have somebody, or a person, and he just
Right.
wasn't seeing it correct. Then as he went to sleep that night, he was in a full sleeping bag and he zipped up. It was cold evening, and he said something approached him that sounded like it was walking on 2 feet. And as he got closer, it actually sat down next to him, started poking him. He said he was never scared too much about anything, but he said he was scared to death. Had his hand on his 357, but he wasn't going to shoot anything, but he could just hear it breathing, and he knew it wasn't a bear and knew it was poking him and stuff.
Mhm.
And he said it stayed there and rustled around for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, then walked off. And then as he got out of the thing, it was gone. But then later on in the years, he brought me the infamous Argosy magazine. I don't know if any of you remembered that, but it was one of the first that covered cryptic type stuff. But the Argosy edition he brought was the Patterson Gimlin patty film footage stuff, you know, I mean, the article on it. And then right then I was hooked. I'm going to find that thing. I'm going to find one of those. And then I just bothered him all the time about the skunk ape. And he would tell me stories because he lived in Arcadia, which is adjacent to Mayaca City. Even though it's called Mayaca City, it's very, very out in the woods. I don't know if anybody's been to Mayaca. Most people think of Florida as Miami Beach, tall buildings, lots of beaches, and well, it is in the big city areas. But once you go in maybe 10 to 12 miles east, saying you're on the West Coast, then you're into the woods. I mean, you can get into woods literally from Miami, where the Everglades start in Homestead area, and go all the way up to New York through forests and never be seen. They have bears here that they tag, and they've tagged them in the Everglades and find them in Georgia. So, and nobody's ever seen them. Nobody's ever seen them cross interstates or highways or anything. But that's how the woods are around here in Florida.
Yeah, most people think Florida, and they think Miami Beach, and they think the Daytona Beach, and it's, you know, there's no, you know, condos and houses, and I just got the experience of how big those swamps are in August, and I just couldn't believe the massive area that these swamps take up. I mean, it's just incredible. They're huge.
Oh yes, you were in the green swamp. I've seen your YouTube. Very impressive, my friend. Your research and you working with Mark and them. It was very impressive stuff. But you're right. That's massive. Everglades, the cypress swamps. You get lost there, you're out of luck. I talked to a lot of local Indians there and the natives, and they're all the time. People are lost in there.
Right.
And you're right. And once you're in that forest, you get in those canopies, and you got a overcast type day, and you can't see the sun. You better hope you brought a compass.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm with you, because you don't know which direction you're coming. Once you're under those palm fronds and it's dark, you don't know.
Right.
You get turned around in 10 seconds.
And some of those guys I used to go out with, they laugh because I'll put an orange trail tag here and there, you know. But you know what? It's helped me a lot a few times, and them too. So
was that your first experience in the Everglades or in
first?
The swamp?
No, actually, when I was with the Sasquatch hunters, that was co-founded by Stacy Brown Sr. and his son Jr. And when I joined them, they had multiple researchers. He had Dave Lauer, who was on the $1 Million Bounty show. I don't know if you remember that show for the $10 million bounty. Yeah. Well, he would do a certain area because we all lived different parts of Florida. I mean, if you go from the Everglades up to the border, it's a very large state. Mm-hmm. So to cover. So we all had different areas which we lived in this group. I lived in there in the Mayaca. So guess what? I did the Mayaca in South Everglades. David did the East Coast up there, Mononoke's area. Stacy Brown, of course, had his dad and him had the Terea, where they filmed the thermal image, and Terea's up near the border. And we had the Green Swamp researchers who did Ocala area. So we covered all of the states, and that's how we worked together on that. Yeah. So,
makes sense that way.
Which makes a lot of sense. So, and that's what actually the Skunk Ape project too was, a nonprofit, and that's how that worked too. With our groups spread out a lot, because you know, if you get a sighting, I'm down here in Mayaca, and I get a sighting up in Ocala. That's 3-4 hour drive, and you know, that's a long drive, and yeah. I don't think Bigfoot's going to wait for you. But no. It's nice to go see if you find some prints or something. But right. You know how that goes a lot of times.
All right. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to take you off your path of your interaction. So.
Oh no. But other than that, I've been doing some solo research now. With I joined up with scientists. Her name is Barbara Schelt with her husband Glenn, and you can see their story in the Skunk Ape Lives. But they do a lot of work in the Green Swamp, and I've been working with them over there. I've been finding some interesting stuff there, some very cool structural stuff, prints, all kinds of things. But But I could mainly me. I like Mayaca. I know it. I've been here all my life, and that's where I spend most of my time. Mayaca's got the Mayaca State Park itself it has almost a 40-mile loop around the whole state park. So, and I think 6 primitive sites. It take 8 hours to walk to some of those campsites. So it's massive too. And then beside the Mayaca State Park, you had the Mayaca State Forest, which goes into the Carlton reserves and stuff. So you're talking hundreds of thousands of acres out there
Right.
to search and things going on in there. But when we were talking about Mayaca, that's how I found Stacy Brown Sr. when the Mopar, I think it was, video of the Mayaca sighting where the supposed Bigfoot was chasing deer through the park.
Right. Yep.
Right. And I was already doing research there, and I showed up wanting to meet with the famous senior, Stevie Brown Sr., to join forces to be with a team, because when I was doing solo stuff, and I didn't have the thermal imaging and all that great stuff everybody has now. And when I went out there and saw that video, I was out there that day, and he and their team were there, and they did a lot of extensive work, but I was already doing mine. But we combined, and that's how I joined up. But during that whole Mopower thing, I know there was a lot said about it, that it was somebody in a ghillie suit and stuff, but it was actually the first time I had, I could say, a Class B encounter type thing. Some say Class A. But we found so much stuff prior to what happened to me. I'll get to that part. But when I first came and stuff, they were finding pigs with their heads twisted off. I mean, if you're talking about a poacher's probably going to take the whole meat, and plus, if you're going to take a head for a trophy, you probably cut it off with some kind of sharp instrument of something. But these were actually torn off and left. And then there was like organs that were missing, certain organs like livers and stuff. And so he invited a bunch of teams down to come back, research teams from all over. And I think it was Bill Brock come down from Maine. There were some other people from the Everglades, I believe. The late great Tim Fasano was there from Green Swamp, and they spent like a week there. And I think it was like a Thursday night. I can't really say for sure. There was like 5 of us. They all split in these different teams and went to different areas and stuff. Well, we knew what our research was and where we were finding these pigs, so we kind of devoted our time there. And we went out with Bill Brock, and there was 5 of us, 5 investigators, including Junior, and we were out there, and we were out by what they call the upper lake, because I'm a big water investigator, because I believe that water is a key to finding this thing, because it may not eat enough, but it's got to drink, at least every day, you would think.
I agree 100%. And it's great to travel in too. They can hide their tracks very easily,
Very easily. So with that saying, we were there, and in this really hot area, and we were getting tree knocks prior to that and stuff like that. And while we were sitting there getting ready to make a plan of action, we just heard this immensely amount of noise coming out of this one part of the forest there. And lo and behold, here comes a bunch of pigs, feral pigs, big ones, coming right at us. And the first thing we think, run, because the last thing you want to run into, you can run in a panther or anything like that. That doesn't bother me, but a feral pig with babies and stuff will come after you. And these things came right after us. But guess what they did? They ran around us and ran for the water like they were just going to jump in. Something was scaring them out of the woods. We went right into action with everything we had, thermals. This was in 2013. So the thermal was actually a laptop. And I was new to this. So we went in, and Stacy would have this plan with David, who was military, and how they would hook an area, say, put people 30 to 50 yards apart. and make like a hook, and then go in that way and try to encircle whatever it is and force it into a clearing. So he already had it all mapped out, and we were going in there, and I teamed up with Bill Brock, the rogue Bigfoot finder, and he had the thermal imaging, which was a laptop. One of the other was Josh Watson, which was a researcher for the Skunk Ape project, and Emmett was with him, and then Stacy was at the very end. So we were there, and I was not very up on the thermal imaging, as I said before, and Bill was handling that. Bill picks up this image. It's by a tree that was broken off a palm tree, and it had an enormous type roundish kind of head around it, and I could see, I thought was a second tree to it. And he's like, no, that's not a tree. Look at it's moving, and there's like a head leaning over the other side of the tree. And so I just made a kind of joke to him, said, hey, I'm going to walk up to this thing and see what it is. And if it rips me in half, please check my teeth and fingernails, because I will get some DNA. And jokingly, I walked up to this thing, and all hell broke loose. I hear thump, thump, crash, grunts, and it runs towards Josh. He has an old flare, handheld flare. He starts clicking the pictures. I ran up past Stacy, and all I could hear him running through the woods after this thing. I saw it, but in the dark. I didn't see it face to face, but I could tell it was definitely a thermal imaging. And I thought we had it on this thermal imaging, and then everybody would believe us because it was on a laptop. All hell broke loose. We come back. Stacy couldn't catch. He didn't know what it was because it was such a canopy filled area, but he said it was so fast. Came back, looked at Josh's thermal. All you can see is like white hair, because we use white hot that day. And then we're like, that's okay. We'll just go back and look at the thermal image on the laptop. Well, guess what? The recorder button wasn't on. If it would have been on, I think it would have been best thermal imaging I ever seen, and then it would have, been good on my story. But as said, it wasn't there. But we were able to get a freshly dumped piece of stool sample, which I don't know if you ever did any kind of DNA work, sent it off and stuff, but stool is probably one of the worst ones you want to send off.
Right.
Plus, because I actually learned this one before. You want to get, if you're really going to go that route and spend the money to have a stool sample, it's usually after 24 hours. You're really going to be hard to find something. And plus, I think it might have been the wrong end of a stool, because you want to get the mucus from the beginning of the stool sample, not the end and stuff. But with that said, that was messed up too also. But we were able to cut it open and see what was in it, and there was actually berries and all kinds of interesting things in it. But that was my first encounter there. Now I've had some other ones in where it's called Clay Gully. It's on the outskirts of the state park, and I've been in there, and this was probably the best thermal I'd seen, but we didn't have a recorder, but I had a witness. And we were there, and we were getting some tree knocked responses, and we were taking shifts because we'll sit in stands and stuff for hours and hours on end. Well, all our DVRs went dead and everything, and I said, let's just go out by the ponds and check the water areas with my friend Glenn. And we went to this one area, and as soon as I put in the thermal imager, I see this massive creature yanking stuff. He couldn't have been any more than, say, maybe 75 yards away. Never told my friend, because I didn't want to say and put anything in his brain. All I wanted him to do was get the thermal and tell me what you see. And because what I was seeing was a big, massive creature with a head, stumped over, like in a crouching position, pulling, it looked to me like cattails or something. And as soon as I gave it to him, didn't say, I said, what do you see? He's like, oh my God, there's a massive gorilla out there squatting, pulling up stuff. I said, give me that. I said, let's see if there's any battery power. So let's just extra, just enough to get a clip of it.
Right.
And as I went in there, he was gone. It was gone. I mean, I gave it back to him. We could not find it. I mean, but it was so clear. I mean, just so white hot clear that you could not deny this was a massive bipedal Sasquatching looking thing.
Right. It always happens that way, and people
Doesn't
don't
it?
understand that. I mean, you hear it all the time that, most people don't even think about picking up their camera. They're just
Exactly.
in awe. They're awe of looking at this huge creature that they didn't think it was going to exist, and all of a sudden it's in front of them, and they're just like, the last thing you're thinking about is taking pictures of this thing. That's just what I think. My
Exactly.
experience.
Actually, I remember somebody told me, because I intentionally don't even take stuff out there because they can detect it and everything. Because as soon as I always go out there without it, that's when I have the best
Right.
stuff happening to me. But like you said, I like to think out of the box and approach it in different
Mhm.
ways. Like I've done the whole soloing thing by myself, to where we'd go into groups of 2 or 3 in different areas and stay there for 2 to 3 days, put on the deer intestines, put your clothes in leaves the day before you leave, so you don't even use toothpaste or
Right.
deodorant. Done that kind of research to having people. I've gone with women and kids before, and campsites, and let them talk and do stuff like that, and then just stay in the outskirts and wait to see if anything happens. Which that's a good way, especially with something about women. And I know they talked about the signs of menstruating and bloods and stuff, and etc. Of women attracting these things. And I've had some interesting experience with that too. The
Mhm.
women, the actual scientist that we have, a woman, she works with us on that.
Nice.
So
So out of all these techniques, you just named a number of them. What do you think, if you were if there was a new researcher out there and he's listening to this podcast, or he or she's listening tonight, what kind of a strategy would you give them to follow after everything you've tried? What would be your best approach for a beginner going in the woods looking for these creatures?
I think I would go out there not expecting nothing to happen. I would go out there as approach as if you were maybe just like camping and just having a great time and walking trails at night or daytime and not looking for it, because it's going to be looking for you if it hears you. Me, I personally, I know we've talked about this, but I'm old school. I really believe it is a missing link type blood creature. It's physical. I'm not into that it's an alien, or it's a nephilim, or from the Bible, giants, things like that. I really believe it's a creature of that you could actually will bleed if you were, it was to fall and hurt itself or something. Because some of the Mayaca stories I was telling you about, some of the ones I heard over the years, was there was one that got hit by a car, and it was been multiply reported that a limping Bigfoot has been seen in the Mayaca area over the last 20 years. So, and matter of fact, we went and checked on one of these limping Bigfoot reports, and the guy actually had mice that they found that were wrapped in leaves, which was amazing. I've never seen anything like that before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Do you believe that we both believe that flesh and blood, but do you believe there's a little extra there? There's something that we don't know.
I have been watching your frequency videos, and I find that very interesting because of the whales, how they communicate, elephants, and with the low frequencies and stuff. Oh yeah, I'm totally with that. Matter of fact, who was I talking to recently? I, I'm starting to. Some people are saying that it's telepathic.
Telepathic, right?
You're right. Uh,
Mm.
I don't know. In a sense, I have some Native American Indian in me. My mother's full blooded. They totally believe that in a different type of sense. Like they talk to animals, they talk to trees, they talk to rocks and everything, but in a different way that you would think. You know.
Right. No, I
Uh,
believe I believe it in that. I think they have that ability to reach your brain somehow. I don't know what it's called or how they go about it, but I don't know. I think they can.
but that's interesting you said that, because it was believe it was Les Stroud. Yeah, that's who it was. Les Stroud, the survivor man, Bigfoot, believes the same thing. Believes it's telepathic.
Right.
And so, and I haven't had that experience. Not me.
Right. We can only report what we experience, and that's what I love about you. You know, you can only share what you know.
Exactly.
You don't make things up. You just straightforward, cut and dry. This is what I experienced.
Right. I know
Make it-
I've been accused of being a skeptic or a debunker or stuff, and I'm like, no, man, I'm just seeking the truth. And the way I logically think is how I approach Bigfoot, is logically thinking like an animal and a human. I think it is an animal, and I'd like to believe that us humans are smarter than that animal.
Right.
Are we? We're going to find out, because
Right.
there are no Bigfoot experts, or we'd have one. And I also truly believe that it's probably just going to have to take a body. Maybe some blue-haired old woman in Florida is going to run one over, and then the first BFRO guy or somebody's going to be on it. It's going to claim it.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, if you did hit one, I suggest you take it to the nearest college or news station.
Yeah.
Don't call the Men in Black or government.
Yeah. Don't do that. Right. For sure. Yeah, I agree with you too. It's going to take that, but I could you shoot one? Because I couldn't.
No, honestly, it's just like the hunter, like I was telling you about it. They can't identify completely what they're going to shoot. They don't pull the trigger. Me, the only way I would pull that trigger is if I knew I was life or death, or one of my family members or something. It was full for coming at me. Yes, but I'd rather shoot with a camera.
Do you think they use violence as the last resort? They try to scare the hell out of you before they anything else.
Yeah, silverbacks do that. Bluff charges and stuff. Actually, I use a lot of calls too. I like to do that because if I think there's an alpha male out there, I will give the blunt and bluff charging grunts, and to see if I can get it to come in and see who the other alpha is around and stuff. But I believe that, like, Bigfoot is just like humans. There's going to be some good ones. There's going to be some bad ones. There's going to be some curious ones. There's going to be some very smart ones. There's going to be some very dumb ones. So whichever you come across, I believe that if there's a mother, that it will protect. So it's got some little baby Bigfoot there. I'm pretty sure if you're just too close, you're in trouble.
Well, what do you look for? How can you tell there's an alpha male? What do you look for if there's for an alpha, if you're in his territory or he's around?
Actually, evidence of any kind of evidence, like we say, like actually, you know how they make beddings, the silverback gorilla beddings and stuff, and stuff. I look for a lot of beddings and that type of area, but I also listen for grunts and growls and all kinds of different kinds of call. There you go. That's one of the areas that I found out there. Actually, after we heard some awesome growling and just crazy thumping, more like a stomping on the ground type thing. When we came out there, and this is the area we had found, and everything was, all the cabbage palms were chewed in the middle, and some were just like yanked out. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to yank a cabbage palm out of the ground. It's just nearly impossible. And if you saw that picture, it also had like a bench type setup. And all the vegetation that is dead there, that's usually caused by trampling a lot or urination. Dogs urinate and kill plants all the time. Or actually, I think it's the male dog that will do that. Female dogs will not. Their urine does not kill plants. But that's what I'm looking for.
So they eat the cabbage palms just like the silverbacks eat the bamboo. They go for the center. The pandas eat it. So
and it's very edible. It's swamp cabbage is very popular down here. It's the middle of the plant. Like I said, if you ever try to pull it out, it's like nearly impossible.
Right.
You have
if you're 800 pounds, you need to.
But these were all just yanked right out. Right, and these were just completely yanked right out, and so out of the ground. So that was pretty cool. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. I'm going to show another picture here from Mayaka that you gave me. See, where did that go? That little. No, I lost it. It was the little T. There it is. Little
Okay,
teepee.
yes, I found that by a water source too, and didn't see any prints, didn't see any. But then again, the ground was pretty hard. But it was an interesting structure, and I just thought, I just put out things like that so to let the public tell me what they think.
Right. Well, what's
I
your
rely on
take?
a lot of people on this. That I probably would say it could have been human because, for one thing, I didn't find any prints. That was one thing. But then again, you do have people out there that are hoaxing and doing terrible things to
Right.
the people are trying to do serious research. That's why I usually try not to divulge where I'm going most of the time. So,
Right.
or when
I've
I'm
been.
going out.
Yeah, I agree. I've been learning a lot about that lately too. Not to divulge your plans to anybody until you go and you're
Right.
there.
Right. But nowadays, too, I like to work with people like you and other people that I watch. I can't do all the work anymore, this as old as I'm getting, but I like to learn what everybody else is doing and help in some way or try something they're doing. I heard
Right.
an interesting guy that had got something on a trail cam, but what he was doing was putting his trail cams up, but he was soaking the trees with apple juice. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty good idea. So I'm dying to try that. This was not too long ago when I saw
Huh.
this.
Huh. That's
And I
pretty
was like,
cool. I never.
hmm. Right. Drowning your trees in apple juice.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And then put your
mean.
camera. Plus, I like to watch all these different people and the things that are working. Les Stroud has some really cool stuff. He uses numerous cameras, but he doesn't put them everywhere. He puts them in one spot and tries to keep them in higher spots. So if you can detect IR, you're not going to detect until you've come into it. The
Right. Right.
pattern, the width, or whatever of the camera. But he'll put them on the ground, aiming up, put them in the trees, and just different angles and stuff. And I think that's pretty smart. He also uses. I've seen him use the DNA. They're like little points that you put in the ground, and if you step on them, it will gather
Right.
samples
Right.
of
Yeah.
skin.
We. Yeah. We
Do
use
that too.
those pheromone chips. We just used when we were down there,
And how does that working?
and they came in within 20 seconds.
Oh, where do you get
They're
pheromone
right on.
like that?
I'll leave the link. I'll send it to you after the show. They sell them in jars, and you can buy. They send you 6 to 8. I guess they're Gorilla Estrus chips, and they use and they stink so bad. I mean, but we used that. We got to the. I don't know if you guys followed the trail to Bigfoot, but we got out to their fridge. And we put one up in the tree, and I swear, Steve, within 20, 30 seconds, we were having rocks thrown at us over the blinds. They were just coming right in on us. It's quite
Wow.
the experience, but that's something you guys should try, and maybe you might want to give that a try too. It worked pretty good.
They matter of fact, when we did the Finding Bigfoot one, it was on the Mayaca sightings, and they were using a liquid pheromone, but it was just, yeah, you're right, it really stunk, but nothing really happened. But there
Right.
was they did get some pretty cool knocks out there and stuff, but they didn't get any pheromonal action, I remember. That's
So
very interesting.
yeah, yeah. So what got you to the next level? You're a cryptid investigator. You're investigating these guys. What made you take it the step further and want to do films and document it all and get it all on film? And what made you go that route?
Because I feel when this movie came out, as a producer, I produced. I wanted to tell the story of the Florida skunk ape since has been recorded, which was started out with the Ocheezy Wild Man, which is possibly we have a Bigfoot now, in a grave site. If you know the Ocheezy Wild Man, and it was a wild man that they sent after uh, Upper Florida, and they found it and chained it up, brought it to the governor, and the governor actually, they had this wild, hairy thing. And what did they do with it? They put it in an asylum up there, and with that, it died there, and they buried it out in that cemetery at that asylum, which is still there, but no one's allowed to go dig anything up or anything, and you might have a Bigfoot body in there. But there's
Wow.
nothing you can do about cheesy wild man. But
Never knew
anyways,
about that. That's
oh
pretty cool. Never
yeah,
heard about that.
oh yeah, look up old cheesy wild man. So from there, I just wanted to get some of the greater encounters and get some of the researchers that have worked really hard in Florida, starting with Stacy Brown Senior's Thermal 2. I got Ree Monteith. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she's BFRO, but she's also on History Channel and Science Channel. I think it's The Unexplained, that show. And I got with her, and I got with the late great Scott Marlowe, who was the first person here in Florida to teach cryptic zoology to colleges here. Got him to jump on board, and then we all told the best of the best stuff. So if you want to, of the stories in Florida. So if you want to see this, I wanted to produce a film that would live on in the Florida Skunk Ape and add something to the library of the research that people might be interested in, or say, oh wow, that is so cool and stuff. And I wanted to do it with credible people, credible
Right.
stories and stuff. You know, the Brown footage, Stacy Senior, he was an ex-military special forces guy, a ranger, uh, and if you've seen the thermal, it's something else, something
Right.
else.
Yep.
And Scott Marlowe, and he was a scientist too, and he added a lot of perspective to it too, and his stories, and he's got some pretty cool, amazing prints that he found too, if you research Scott Marlowe. But which brings me to I'm hoping to do another one like that and continue on the stories, because there were so many we wanted to cover. Oh golly, there was somebody, police officers and stuff that did reports and stuff. There was an interesting one that was two officers who were getting a report that there was a Bigfoot beaten on a trailer. And this was over on the Everglades side, on the East Coast side, on the higher lands of the Everglades. And it was supposedly ripped this horse in half too also. I don't want to give away too much story just because I do the film.
Right.
We did
Right.
a film. But they went there, and the lady was saying, yeah, it's banging on a trailer. So the two police officers came, and guess what? It was there. And there was another car behind him, so there was 4 witnesses, and it smacked their car and stuff and ran off. And so I'm trying to work on getting that story. The man is very old. It happened in the 70s, I believe.
Right. We
But
have I had Al Santariga on a few weeks ago, and he was involved. He's actually in the Skunk Ape Museum down in Florida for a similar one where they ripped the head off of a bull.
oh, Alfred. Oh yeah,
Yep.
I know him.
Yeah, he's a
He's a
great
good guy.
guy.
Good
Yeah,
guy.
great guy. He's on
I
here
remember.
tonight.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Hey, Alfred.
Yeah.
Brian, say hi to Brian for me.
Yeah, Sir Brian, it's already on here. He asked
Oh,
what kind of guitar does a Bigfoot play? Gibson, or I forgot what the other was, or a Fender.
oh my God. Who knows? No, I think it's an Ibanez. I got a bunch of guitars sitting over here. I might play a little something for you later.
Yeah, that's what I told everybody before when
Oh,
I was trying to take up space. I said you were going to play guitar and everything tonight.
oh, don't.
So with that's on the horizon. The skunk. What else is on the horizon for you? What else you got planned out?
Well, did I tell you that we also had a film? We did a film. My first film was a feature, and it was called Creatures, and it was based on the Bridges. Are you familiar with the Bridges from the Bridges sightings? They were a couple that live up in North Florida, and they were featured on Bigfoot probably two times, I believe. And they were having a whole colony living there, and we did a lot of research, and we did a movie. But obviously, I did it with Russell Accord too,
Right.
from Bigfoot Expedition.
Yeah.
I wish it could have come out, but the Bridges thing was one of the most intense areas that we've ever worked. Did you? Did you get the picture of the print that I
Yeah.
had?
Yeah.
That is from the Bridges.
Let me check it out. I can find it. The prints. I uploaded everything. Yeah, they're in the dark. They're up here farther. Here they are. Here's
Okay,
one.
now that's me doing a solo ad out of Mayaka.
All right. Sorry. Here
Now this one's a cast keeper. There it is.
There it is.
And that was a bunch of set of prints. That's just one. So there was multiple prints with this one of different sizes. And then as you can see in the background, there's the house, the Bridges house. This is their house, but it's like in the middle of nowhere. Where. And there you go. There's the Brown, Stacy, there's Dave, there's Josh, and all them.
Yep.
There's legend tripping Rob Robertson from Monster Quest. But they were all in this too, and a lot of the investigations going on. I'm telling you what, there is something going on there, but now nobody's allowed on that property anymore. And it started getting crazy between BFRO and everything else. And but the most interesting area that we've worked in a long time, and it's pretty close to the within reason of the Terea, where the famous Brown Senior Thermal was taken. So that place up there is a hot spot. There's Cliff Berkman. He's been up there and he's had so much action happen. I was talking about her. She's had activity out there, and everybody's. And I've had so much unusual stuff happen up there. It's hard to explain. I mean, you wondering. You never get to just right out see it, but they throw rocks at you, like you said.
Right.
And you would just hear them. We would put sound stuff out there, recorders, and leave them there all night. Then we'd come back, and there was one incident where we heard the raccoons fighting really loud, and then you just hear this walk up upon them, and you can hear the breathing, and just grab that raccoon and. It sounded like it snapped it in half or something.
Open up a Coke bottle.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just hear, oh God, let's just hear this, just a crunching. Right. But it's just a crazy place. Very crazy place.
That's my favorite thing is the rock throws. I love when they throw the rocks.
Me too.
I don't know. That's my favorite.
Me too. I was sitting one time with my wife, and we were at the trail where the actual thermal was taken. But if you ever been to Trail Park there's this mansion back there. I can't remember. The Gregory House. Thank you. It's the Gregory House. And it's so old and cool. So I went down the valley. Most people don't understand too, Florida's not really flat in upper Florida. You might go 140 feet up this way and stuff. So I went down towards the water because I love investigating the water, and this was a daytime. I do a lot of daytime stuff, but don't really have a lot of daytime activity as some. But I was sitting there and I was telling my wife that I just had the strangest feeling that something was watching us and stuff, and then I could just hear breaking of stuff in Florida. We're filled with palmettos. So I don't know, if palmettos are, but those branches die. And I mean, an armadillo could step on it and it sounds like a massive thing. But I kept hearing it. I was going, it could be this, it could be that, And no sooner did I see that, she goes, what is that, a duck? And I'm looking up and out of the air, we were sitting on the bank of the Apalachicola River. No one's out there, down from the Gregory House. And this massive rock, probably the size of a basketball, just come out of the sky in the water right in front of us. The splashing and everything. I'm like, it would have had to take something very massive, a catapult. That's all I can describe, to go that height and then to come down where we were at and hit. And the way it hit the water, and you know how that deep, you knew it came from a distance.
Oh, yeah,
deep sound that, when you throw rocks in the water.
Right.
Yeah, but that place too that trail was something else. Everybody had some kind of experience there.
Right. So yeah, you've been up and down Florida, had all these experience. What is your favorite all-time Sasquatch experience?
For me personally, I think it would have to be, no doubt. I already talked about it. The one with the thermal when I was with Glenn. I mean, it was no doubt to actually thermal doesn't lie, because you can pretty much tell if it's a costume or not because of the fur and hair are different. It's going to show a heated thing, but this, you could tell the fur and the heat, everything was heated up. And so right then I just kind of knew that if it wasn't a Sasquatch, it had to have been some gorilla. But there's no gorillas in Mayaca, trust me.
Right. Okay. And then on the other hand, what is the most I don't know how the scaredest you've been with these guys around? I mean, have you ever showed any fear or?
Yes, be honest. Just recently, I think I had posted something. I went to the Everglades, and I was going to go look for snakes, and see if I can find a python or two, And I had took my grandson, and we weren't going to do anything like way out in the woods or put anybody in danger. We were just going to cruise roads. So my son, who's in the military, I had two sons, the one that does music, and then I had one that's military. They went with me. It's his son. It's my grandson, but it's his son. So we went to the infamous Loop Road. If anybody's been to the Everglades, it's this long 14-mile road that it goes around the cypress forest, but there's nobody that lives out there. The only person who lives out there was Lucky Cole, and he's in the film too because he had a Bigfoot encounter. And if you watch the Skunk Ape Lives, you'll see the famous Lucky Cole. He's a photographer that does photography out there since the 60s. So I like to always cruise that road because I think it was Derek Randall's The Olympic Project was saying, people do all this wood stuff. He says you're more than likely going to see something cruising the roads, the back streets, and the far dead dirt roads that are away from everything. And so I like to do that a lot and run cameras and stuff. So with that said, we had stopped somewhere on the loop road, and my grandson got out, and we're stopped, and I was trying to teach him how to howl and stuff. So I just wanted him, to do some howls, and hopefully something heard this kid, So he did a couple things, nothing happened, and I did a bluff charge type howl, and I swear I thought of hearing things in the distance, but you know how tree knocks are, tree knock. Okay, there's many things that sound like a tree knock. Even a distant gun sounds like a tree knock to some people. I mean, there's some people. Everything is a Bigfoot out there. Everything they hear. Did you hear that? But anyways, I just thought it was interesting. I kept it to myself, and we went on further. I think we went in maybe another 10 miles or something like that. And I just decided I was near some water, and I'm always attracted like the water, like I said. So I stopped and I said, you can just sit here and I'm going to go out and look at the water and stuff. And I got out and I was looking at the water and saw some gators, and I was shining and looking at gators. And I was telling my grandson, too bad you don't want to come out here. Bigfoot ain't going to get you, but there's some really cool gators. And he came out and he starts talking and everything. And we were having a good little time. And well, my other son, the army man, came out, and I have these sticks that this Native American gave me. And he used to always tell me, hey, these are the sticks they call Bigfoot. I'd always laugh and stuff, but I use them a lot. And my son had the sticks out there, and he starts clacking them. Pow, pow. And as soon as he finished, there was the most intense knock that I ever heard. I had just turning off my HN digital recorder with the two microphones, those really good one. Just took it out, put it on the hood. When that thing hit, I can't explain it. It sounded to me like a Louisville Slugger hitting a ball out of Fenway or something. I mean, it was that clear and crisp because the cypress forest, the cypress base is almost like a bell, and sometimes they're hollow. And it's almost like it picked one of those kind of trees. And I could tell it's maybe 40 yards. But when that thing was so loud, my son had my other son had the parabolic, had to actually, lift it out like. And my other son, who's quite skeptic, said, "Dad, what the hell was that?" My hair went completely up. And my other son, here, I'm trying to grab the digital recorder, so just in case it does it again. And my son's like going crazy. I could hear this thing going through the water. As soon as that knock, it took off. You can hear it just through the swamp. I mean, I can go. I had my grandson, didn't want to go after it. Normally, I would just go to go out there, but you're talking loop road. It's pretty massive. Lots of gators were everywhere. And
Yeah,
I
no.
surely wasn't going to go out there and you go chase it. I wanted to, but
Right.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
do it with the kids and stuff. But
no.
that scared the shit out of me because I had my kids. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But it scared me a lot because I had my kids and that I fear for them,
Yeah,
and
no.
especially my grandson. So
Yeah,
it was mealy. Get in the car, lock the doors. We're out of here, girl.
yeah. Yeah, the swamp is definitely not user friendly. That's for
Oh no.
sure.
Oh no.
I have
Every
a
time
whole new respect for the people that research the swamp. I'll tell you that right now.
and every time I go to the Everglades, some of the Native American locals there, I'll run into them here and there, and of course, I'm going to start talking Bigfoot and ask them stuff. But I was standing over by Dave Shealy's, the Skunk Ape Research Center, the Dave Shealy, famous Dave Shealy. Anyways, there was an old Native American sitting there, and he was smoking a cigarette and stuff, and I was asking him, so, got any Bigfoot stories, Skunk Ape stories? Huh, matter of fact, I did. So I said there was a baby and a female that crossed the road near me not too long ago. And I'm like, where? And he's like, just points right out there on 41 because 41 out there in the cypress swamp is like desolate. I was like, wow, everybody's got a big.
Right.
And he said, yeah. He says they know. He told me they know that path where he had crossed goes into the Seminole Native land, and that they're protected because they respect most Native Americans respect them as another like a wild man or another tribe or something of that source, and they don't bother them. They don't bother them.
Right.
Let them be themselves, and they don't bother the Indians. So. But that was his story. So yeah, they cruise that path all the time. But I would love to have permission to do that and go on their lands, part of their land. But you have to know some elders and know the right people.
Right.
I'm working on that now.
Nice.
Now that I'm going more to the Everglades, I don't get to go as much as I'd like to. So.
Nice. All right, we're going to open up some questions for Mr. Strings here. So please, in capital letters for everybody. And I got the first one for you, Stevie, right here. From Deborah. Steve, how much action have you seen in Mayaka? And would you be willing to meet me in Mayaka to research?
Oh, just like I said, I am real willing to meet with any researcher. The more, the merrier to find things. Or share experiences or things like that. Now, to me, a lot of times when I go out to Mac, it might be very boring to people because I go out there a lot, and a lot doesn't happen. I mean, it seems when you're not trying so hard is when something happens.
Right.
Or if I just decide like, oh, I'm just going to take my bike and go down the blue trails and stuff that nobody goes down, or walks. And that's when I hear stuff or, something's thrown at me or you just know something's out there. But let's see, I've been out there for all these years, got maybe a dozen notable things worth, prints and stuff like that. But you're talking about hundreds of times being out there. Literally.
Nice. That's nice. Hook up and do a little
Yeah, find me
investigating.
on Facebook. Anybody can come on Facebook, Stevie Strings. You might see some of my music and stuff, but you can always DM me there or PM me, whatever you would like. And yeah, a matter of fact, I am trying to put together a smaller thing, and maybe Deborah can get involved. I'm trying to get a forensic guy from, he did the 9/11 forensics, recovering bodies, and he lives here. He's an ex-law enforcement. And I'm trying to get him to join on because he's really into it. And he had a Bigfoot encounter somewhere out there. And I just recently got in contact with him, and I'm going to get his story.
Nice. All right, we got it from Bigfoot Anonymous. Do you visit the cave in Toria?
Actually, I have. That's funny he said that. I had a picture. Did I send you a picture of a structure, dome-looking thing?
Yep.
Okay, that is near a cave system, but it's not. I've been in the Turea cave systems. Those are actually outside. Yes, there you go. That's near a cave system in the with Lahoochee State Forest, which is green swamp basically to me. But yes, I do the cave systems. Matter of fact, I've found some interesting prints. That one print you showed before with the tape measure, that was near the cave systems in Terrea.
Okay. Let's see if I can
Yes.
pull it back up.
A lot of
here.
people don't know about those. People go caves in Florida. What? That's the one. That's the one. That was right near the cave system, going into the cave system.
Nice.
And we found multiple prints there, but nothing in the cave when we went in there at that
Yeah.
time. We came back that night and stayed there, and definitely had a lot of knocking sounds, a couple whoops, good whoops. So,
Okay, here's the next one. Here we go. Well, I think you already answered this one. You just answered what was your best old crap moment?
that one. And
Yeah.
of course, the one with Bill Brock and all that. That was pretty dumb approach, if you ask me, to go and think that you could walk up to a Bigfoot if it really was like that.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, when it left and all that, and I thought about it, I was like, wow, this could have been the end of my life right there.
Well, why would you want? I don't know. I
didn't,
guess you'd have to be in that situation to make up your mind. I guess whether you're going to approach it or you're going to run from it.
Because I really wanted the real evidence. That's why I even said, hey, check the fingernails, because I really didn't understand the thermal imaging thing.
Right. And they got some really high tech thermals now. I mean,
Oh yeah, I just got a Helion. Oh god, like I haven't even got to go out and try it, but we're talking 2,000 yards and get crisp and clear. Because I'm
Wow.
definitely going to get the next best thing.
Nice.
So yes.
Here's Sir Brian. Are there any
What?
sightings in the Wellington area, Route 441?
Wellington area. I have to Google that one. Oh, you're talking about Route 41, or not sure about Route 441. Well, 41 is actually 19. It's called a bunch of different stuff, but that is one of the most hottest spots in Florida. I'd say around the Gothi Forest area. Have you ever heard of Gothi Forest? Oh gosh, I forgot about that one. That's a hot area too. I've worked with her name is Denise DeChances, and that's one of her research areas, and she's the one to turn me on to that place. And golly, I forgot about that whole story, but that's pretty close to the Route 41 areas out there, and that's near Dunellen, I believe. But Gothi is like, we're talking 55 miles of parks out there. I was out there one time, and with my scientist friend and my wife. And this is a great story too, because the thing threw a stick and hit my wife. We went to a 1,000-year-old cypress tree, and it's way out in the middle of this Gothi forest. As soon as we pulled into this area, the park, as soon as I got out of the car, bam! One of them cypress knocks, probably as good as the one in the Everglades. Looked at Glenn and all of them and go, well, they know we're here, so we might as well not even try to be quiet or anything. Let's just be normal and let's go down to the 1,000-year-old tree and just hang out. Went down there, started doing some parabolics, and I had a one rookie guy, green guy, who wanted just to come, and we were just showing him the roots. And he was so scared because we started picking up stuff, and I was really telling Glenn, I was like, man, get ready for everything we have. There's something out there. There's something out there. I can hear it. I can't see it in the thermal. I can't see it, but I can definitely hear it parabolic. And I've been pretty good with the parabolic, picking up bipedal rather than, four-legged things. And I hear it walking way out there, and all of a sudden I hear another knock. And then we didn't have no more activity. I said, well, let's just go back to the car with lights on. So we have lights on, and we're going through the pass and all of this. And lo and behold, the guy that we brought, I kept telling him earlier, when you got the thermal imaging, also look in trees. You'll never know when you find a baby Bigfoot, and he'll jump out and do a Mike Tyson, bite your ear off. Just jokingly, joking with him, but trees are essential. Cover every area you can. Mm-hmm. So we're going along, and the next thing we know, as I was turning on my light, here comes a branch, a massive, pretty good-sized branch. We're talking a couple inches around. And it didn't fall out of a tree from overhead. It came at us like a frisbee or a boomerang. And as I'm looking, it comes and it hits my wife right in the back. It hits the palm tree, hits in the back. As soon as it hits her, the tree above us starts going crazy. And it's like, this guy just booked in the dark, took off. He was so scared because he thought Bigfoot was going to come jump out and bite his ear off. But after that, then there's this stench that was unbelievable stench, and everything was coming. It was horrible. And then when I looked in the tree, I'm saying, get the thermals, get the night vision, record this. And we're recording it, and it's a buzzard. Now, the buzzard probably I thought maybe got freaked out because that stick hit her in the palmettos and stuff. And maybe it freaked them out, or maybe it did. But we came back the next day, found massive prints there, all kinds of things. And actually, Glenn, we got some good casting from that. That's a Gothi right off of the 41, US 41, I believe it is, in Dunellen. Gothi Forest.
Deborah tells you she can show you where I had my experiences when you guys get together.
Oh, nice. I know. I know Deborah. I think a little bit. Some of her research that she's done.
Okay, we got Wishbone. Why not more sound recorders and leave one behind for later?
Well, actually, we do. That's what I was telling you about the raccoon one that we would leave out there. We tie them to trees. You know, they have 1,700 hours, and yes, it's limited what we've gotten before, but that one was the most interesting. The raccoons, and then hearing the growling. Right. I believe it's still posted on one of the Stacy sites.
Okay. Whoops, that's the right one.
I'm a firm believer of all three: the sound, thermal, night vision. That's the way I want to approach it. Try to get all three pieces of evidence at once.
It's a good technique. Mr. Santoriga asks you, have you ever found a boneyard?
Never found a boneyard, Al. Good to see you're here. Never found a boneyard. I hear about them, but never found one.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think we're winding down here, my friend.
Great.
You have anything more you want to share with everybody, or
other than if you want to contact me on Facebook and want to, go out or share your experiences, I still take on stories and investigations. If it's not too far, I don't think Bigfoot's going to hang out and wait for me to get there, but I will look around to see what I can find. I definitely look for prints and hair and things like that. But even with the hair and the DNA analysis, I hope you have the money, and I hope you do it right, and you hope you have a very credible person to do it, because we've sent stuff out before and it has come back unknown primate. What good does that do you if it just comes back unknown primate, or it comes back something else, that you don't think it really is? At the bridges, we had some hair samples with those prints, and it came back as a cinnamon bear. There's no cinnamon bears in Florida that I know of. The Pacific Northwest, maybe.
We'll talk after the show about that stuff.
Right.
We got oops, that's not it. I keep on pressing the wrong one. It's moving on me. One more question. This will be it for the night here from Deborah again. She's got all the questions.
That's cool.
What do you really think? What do you really think of the Finding Bigfoot crew?
The not finding Bigfoot crew? You know what I like about that? When people say not finding Bigfoot crew, it tells me that they're legit, because you're really not going to find a whole lot unless you're really paying attention. The Bigfoot crew is the greatest crew and experience of my life. RPG, who was on Expedition Bigfoot, the early stuff, was my mentor and taught me a lot of stuff. But they would always tell me their stories of Bigfoot stuff was when they didn't have the camera running. Just like we talked about earlier. He said they'd be walking to do the night things. I know everybody says, oh, yeah, they ain't going to find them with 16 people in the woods at the dark. Well, it's not really like that. It's one camera guy, and you always see that thing out in front of them, that long thing that's like a GoPro. Oh, I can see my tattoo. You guys want to see my Bigfoot tattoo? Let's see. Here it is.
There it is. Can you make it talk?
Well, actually, I got no one over here. But anyways, they would say they would never, be carrying the microphone or something to a location or something, didn't have the camera on or something. And that's when they'd have the greatest things, the greatest whoop or the greatest tree knock or something thrown, and they didn't have it captured. But the crew, Bobo, what a nice guy, man. He's such a good guy. And Cliff Berkman, same thing. Renee is super cool. The crew, unbelievable, hard-working crew. 16-hour days. I don't know how those guys do it. I
See,
just
most
don't know.
people don't know that part about making
Yeah.
TV shows, you know.
But not finding Bigfoot is tells me that they're legit because there's so much crap out there. I mean, I can't stand scripted stuff. God bless the mountain men, you know, and their personalities and stuff.
Right.
If you
I'm going to
believe
start.
that,
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I say, but if you believe that, you know, evidence in every show, then you let me sell you some property, please.
All right, I'm going to start asking everybody on my shows for now on at the end of the show, you know, how Wes asks, what do you think they are? My question is to you is, do you think there are certain individuals out there that are chosen to interact with these creatures?
Yes, I do. That's a good question. I believe that Bigfoot has I believe it's a missing link, but I believe it's an animal with better characteristics than us, and like in smelling. I believe they can have a greater sense of smell, obviously eyes. Um, Primates can develop nocturnal vision the, through years of evolution. Evolution is crazy. We don't even understand it now, but I do believe they can smell the sick people. I believe we had a friend who had a lot of melanoma damage to his nose and face, and he actually didn't even really have much of a nose or ear in his eye and stuff, but he would have the most awesome interactions with Bigfoot because I really believe they could smell his cancer or his diseases. And I mean, they were big, you know, giant sores and stuff. And so, but I really believe they can tell you're sick or they can smell your sickness and stuff. Dogs do. Have you ever seen a dog that smells cancer?
So do you think they interact with this just the sick, or do you think people are marked that they'll
No.
interact with?
Well, the Native American part of me believes, oh yeah, you can. They will interact with them a lot. Just like I said, they respect their ground and stuff, but I'm sure they interact with them all the time. I actually talk to a lot of them, people that say, yeah, they do all the time. They'll leave them. They interact a lot with the gifting thing, which I truly believe in too. Gifting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I believe in that 100%.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Well, let's hear a couple rips on that guitar before
golly me. Oh golly. This one's from my friend Teresa. I know she was asking you earlier, are you gonna play guitar tonight? And I said I might give it a little shot. I don't know. Let's see what we got here.
All right. Well, I got one more question. This is
sure,
a new friend of ours here, and I want to just get this question out. Do you think Bigfoot have some autistic traits?
Autistic traits, yes, I do. I've heard stories, like I've said, I've taken millions and millions, but I have had one where somebody, you know how everybody describes different types of Bigfoot. Some have a snout, kind of baboon snout. I've had people tell me they described it as maybe mongoloid looking and had speech patterns like that too. So, and I also believe, like I said before, was that we have different types of people too, and I believe that happens in Bigfoot. We have smart people, not so smart, sick, maybe something's wrong with the head mentally, and I believe that truly.
Right. Nice.
Because if you do, Jane Goodall, I like her a lot, and her studies on primates, and I like to follow her and stuff, and she'll say the same thing about different personalities and some that aren't so smart, and she'll talk about some that are mean as mean that she couldn't even stand. So
okay.
All right. Is that too loud there?
That'll be good.
Hey, no stairway to heaven. I really appreciate you having me on, brother.
Hey, man, that is a Discover Sasquatch first right there, folks.
Next time I'm going to take this in the woods and see what we can do. I know Cliff Bergman has taken his guitar out there and said he had some interesting things happen. So
Yeah,
I think I might go out there and do maybe a little Led Zeppelin, maybe a Rush thing. Oh, who knows what Bigfoot likes.
I think that's awesome, man. And you're an awesome guy, an awesome guest, and you had a bunch of awesome stuff to share with us tonight. That's for sure.
Wow. Well, I hope everybody stays smart, stay safe, and all that good stuff. And I really appreciate you. And let's go out squatch and get in the woods.
There you go, my friend. There you go. Ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen, Mr. Stevie Strings.
God bless y'all.
I'll see you backstage, my friend.
All right.
All right. There we go. Another Tuesday night in the books, and what a show. We had guitar solos. That was a first for us at Discover Sasquatch. Mr. Strings is a very, very kind person, and he deserves all the best. And thank you for keeping the chat clean tonight, everybody. Next Tuesday night, we have another Floridian. Boy, we're on the Florida kick here at Discover Sasquatch. We have Mr. Jimmy Barr. He was part of the 168 down in the Everglades, and he's got some stories to tell from Tennessee, and he is another really great guy, and very happy to have him on the show. You guys are all awesome. I just want to add, you guys all stuck around. I appreciate that more than you will ever know. So don't forget, check out the new video, Step by Step 2. It's on the channel right now. And I will see you guys all next week, Tuesday night again. And as Larry says, get in the woods, people.